right, here we are, episode 77, I do believe, of the Building a U-Shaped Business with Georgie and Patty. I am Georgie.
And I'm
You're
Patty.
Patty.
Hello.
I'm super excited for our presentation today, for our show today, all about the Yes, Yes box. I love saying Yes, Yes box. And I know I'm going to learn something with it as well, which is always super cool. The fact that I can draw this diagram with my fingers on a table, which I was doing yesterday for someone, is also very cool. So even though I may be hearts and flowers, I do really love the diagrams and the things that you come up with. So yeah, I'm excited for yes, yes, and not no, no.
Exactly. Exactly.
So let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. I brought slides. I know we're all surprised. All righty. Let me know.
We love slides.
We love slides. Oh, look at that. Here we are, the Yes, Yes box. Which, you know, when we're thinking about sales and marketing, I think that yes, yes is kind of, it's what we're after. It's what we're looking for. And this particular idea, concept, presentation actually came out of momentum call that we had with our group, our coaching group, about this idea of becoming really mindful and discerning about how we are spending our marketing time and energy. The reality for us as, you know, U-shaped and U-sized businesses is that there's only so much of us to go around. And it's like, okay, how do we use our time efficiently and effectively? And how do we, you know, figure out where is the best investment of time and effort in terms of sales and marketing. And that's what this came out of. And ever since introducing this concept, Georgie's drawing on a table with her finger, it's kind of sparked some other thoughts. So that's where we're going today with this Yes, Yes box. And this is all about relationships, by the way. Relationships, relationship marketing, that's been our theme for the last little bit. Actually, it's a core pillar of our business, is that businesses run on relationships. This is a quote here from sales trainer Jeffrey Gitomer. It says that great salespeople are relationship builders who provide value and help their customers win. We are interviewing Bob Berg next week, all about relationships, about giving first, about building know, like, and trust. This is the kind of relationship building that we talk about, is creating quality relationships. And what we're going to talk about today has a lot to do with quality over quantity. And in connection with this, and for my fellow introverts in the crowd here, permission to lower the number of people that you need to connect with. This is maybe the biggest takeaway from today's presentation, is that you don't need, and maybe it's not even possible, to have relationships with thousands of people. You don't have to have an enormous number of contacts, an enormous number of people on your list, an enormous following, unless you're built for it. You know, if this permission slip gives you a sigh of relief, take it and run with it. If you're built for a stadium, feel free to ignore it. That was our conversation before we got on the call today. Is, you know, we believe that we are here for a reason, that we have our place in the, you know, the U-shape. You have a U-shaped piece of the puzzle that you fit in, and some people are built to rock stadiums, and other people are built to work with people in a more intimate one-on-one kind of a business. And that's, you know, really one of the first questions you need to ask when you start thinking about a U-shaped business. It's like, what am I built for? What am I built for? What fits for me? What do I really want to do? And regardless of that, relationships are going to be part of your business, and that's what we're talking about today. So first question, this is a question we've been posing to our clients recently, is do you have clients or customers? When you think about your business and the people you do business with, are they clients? Are they customers? Is this just semantics? If you have an answer, you could pop it into the chat if you want to kind of take a guess at this. I think for a lot of us, we look at these terms as being interchangeable. You know, clients are customers, clients are customers. I make a distinction. My distinction came from a fellow named Alan Weiss, who wrote a book called $1 Million Consulting. And he talks about the difference between a client and customer from his perspective. And in having clients, there's a level of care, responsibility, um, that there's a relationship there where you are a trusted advisor, is very, very different from running the local gas station where you have customers to fill up a tank. Um, so he makes a really clear distinction about clients or customers. And do we have, I saw the chat light up. Do we have anyone participating about whether they have clients or customers?
Clients, 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 clients. So far, it's
Excellent.
a client-centered group.
Excellent. Yes, and clients,
Yep.
most of the time when you hear us talking about the people who pay you money, you'll hear us talking about clients. And it's totally awesome and fine to have a business that serves customers. There's nothing wrong with that. What's important is to know which you have, because it's going to change your approach to everything. So when we think about clients, I think these are the distinctions for people who have a client-centered business, is that you know their names. I think this is one of the distinguishing characteristics. If you have clients, you know who they are. If you saw them in the grocery store, you'd recognize them. They have names. You have a relationship with them. The business is centered around a service of some sort um, that you offer to your clients. There is a relationship. For a lot of our clients, they work with clients closely over time. They might work together for weeks or months or even years. So there's a relationship with those people. You know their names. It's generally a service-based kind of business that has clients. And when we think about customers, we think about numbers instead of names. When you get to a certain size, a certain number, and we're going to talk about that shortly, with a certain number of people that you're serving, the way you think about it switches to numbers, and it becomes about transactions. And generally speaking, what we're talking about here is selling products. And just to kind of remove a little bit of confusion, I'm going to suggest that when you scale a service, and if you've ever heard anybody talking about scaling and growing, creating enormous group programs, turning a coaching program into a course or something like that, what they're actually doing is turning a service into a product, introducing a standardized way of doing things. Sometimes it still involves a level of personal service that's not delivered by the person who originated the program. Georgie and I signed up for a course building program, which is a class that's been scaled into a product that has coaching included that's delivered by other people. And there's a lot of, when we look at that from kind of the meta level, there's a lot of turning what began as an individualized coaching consulting sort of arrangement into something enormous, with a staff, with coaches that are hired to deliver a service in a certain way. It's very much around systems, it's around procedures. The person that sold it does not know the names of the people, cannot know the names of the people really, because there are so many people that have registered in order to do $1 million launch, that it's no longer a service. And even though it might be called coaching, it's a product. And so there's this kind of blurry line. But one of the things that we were talking about is um, kind of the level of impact that you can have on people. When you scale something, you reduce the level of impact at the individual level. It doesn't mean that you don't have something good. It can be something great, and a lot of care and attention could go into it, and you can have super high levels of customer service, and you can have an amazing amount of client satisfaction built into your business. It's nothing wrong with productizing something, but it does change the nature of what it is that you do. And it's a really important question to ask when you're putting your business together. It's like, what kind of a business do I want? How do I want to relate to the people who give me money? Are they clients or are they customers? And if you have a customer oriented business and you know, move on to the side of treating them like clients, you end up with fantastic customer service. Like, that's the outcome. When you think about your customers as clients, you do better for them. You care about them more. And that's when we say, oh, wow, they have amazing customer service. That's what we mean, is they've actually taken kind of a client care approach to their customers. But on the flip side, when you take a service-based client business and you treat those people like customers, like numbers, it has a negative effect on what you're doing. So, and this is one of the things that I've been noticing as I look at the world of marketing and what we're advised to do. A lot of marketing advice comes from businesses that have customers, not clients. When you have clients, you're looking them in the eye, you're having a one-to-one conversation, and the methodology of, you know, buy now, here's scarcity, pushy, 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 is something that's easier to do in a transactional sense than it is when you're actually sitting across the table with somebody. Um, so a lot of the marketing advice that we hear is not friendly to businesses that have clients. So here's, you know, building on that idea, clients versus is customers. In either case, you have relationships that are beneficial to your business, and it's going to shift depending on what you're doing. Now, if you have a transactional business with customers, you're still going to have relationships, but your relationships aren't necessarily going to be with the people who buy directly from you. They may be joint venture kind of relationships, networking relationships, relationships with other business supporters, suppliers. You probably have employees at that point, serving a lot of people. You're still going to have relationships, but they're going to be at a different level. When you have clients, one of the most important set of relationships you're going to have are with your clients directly. So when you think about building relationships in your business, is going to depend on what kind of a business that you have and where you want to focus. So there's a question for you to think about in your own business, is what kind of relationships are most beneficial for you. And this brings us, when we, you know, talking to numbers, is this, I've been fascinated by this recently, is how many people can you actually have a relationship with? It's numbers. And I found some really interesting diagrams that look a little bit like this. Is now we start with you, and maybe I'm, you know, got a client that talks about having a relationship with yourself, right? Like, there, you know, it all begins with you, and then when we look, you know, a level out, you know, you're kind of your inner circle. The five, you know, what Jim Rohn says, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. These are kind of your most influential relationships. They're going to be in your inner circle, roughly 5 people. Beyond that, 15, 50 people. Somebody suggested that 50 people is the number of people you could invite to a party. Whether you identify as an introvert or an extrovert might shift that number. I think 50 people would be an enormous number of people to have a party at a party. As an introvert, I'm thinking 5 is a good number. Beyond this is the number 150, which is Dunbar's number. And Dunbar has proposed that 150 is kind of the maximum number of relationships that we can have, like meaningful relationships in our life, where we know who those people are and we know who those people are related to. Like we understand kind of the interconnected network of people. And he suggested that there's a limit somewhere around the number 150 for actual reasonably close relationships that we can have with people. Beyond that, something like 500, you might have 500 people who are acquaintances maybe. This is getting outside the limit of the number of actual friends you can have. Not Facebook friends, because a lot of our, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who has Facebook friends. I don't even know. So 500, you're into the acquaintance zone. At 1,000, this is Kevin Kelly's number of 1,000 raving fans, and it's a fantastic article. And if you search for Kevin Kelly and 1,000, I don't know if he called them raving fans, I can't remember, something like that. But Kevin Kelly, 1,000 raving fans, and he proposed that for musicians and artists, people who create something, they can make a living if they have 1,000 people who are their raving fans. It's not going to be all their fans, but the raving fans are the ones that will buy every CD that you release, will travel out of town to go to your concert, that kind of a thing. They provide that buzz, and that is enough. For artists, for musicians, in order to build a thriving business that makes them a good living. And of course, this can directly be applied to coaching, consulting, service-based kinds of businesses as well. And in fact, 1,000 is a pretty large number. And you think about, how many clients do you need in your business? How many customers do you need in your business? I think, when we look at 1,000 raving customers, that would be enough for a products kind of based business. And beyond that, we got 1,500, which I thought this was interesting, is kind of our human limit for being able to connect a name and face. I don't know if you've ever thought about this idea, about our limits of what we are actually able to do as human beings. How many relationships can we manage? How many relationships can we sustain? Those numbers become pretty low. I remember reading a book about networking, and I can't remember who wrote the book, and I think it was a she, but she was talking about maintaining a network of 1,000 people. And as an introvert, I was like, because I'm doing the math, and I'm like, okay, have to talk to 3 people a day minimum to have a conversation with each person in the network once per year. I'm like, I'm thinking that you need to talk to people more than once a year to maintain any kind of a decent relationship. And then that starts to seem like a lot of conversations without a day off. And of course, computers can help. We can use contact management programs, we can use social media, that kind of thing, to help us remember people. But still, we're still kind of faced with this human limitation as to how many relationships you can actually have. And my advice springing out of this really is to be discerning. It really comes down, and it comes down to being discerning and to start thinking about who do you want to have in each limitation of 150 people? Who are they going to be? If you're working in a client-based business, your clients are going to be within that number. They might be within that 50 number, like the actual clients. You'll know them, you'll have meaningful relationships with them. And then beyond that, what do you need? What does that look like? Which brings us to the yes box. To talk about numbers, and now we're this thing is the yes box, because when you think about those people, all these rings, if you wanted to make, if you looked at the people that you know or are in contact with, and you look at the people on your contact list on your phone, the people in your email list, the people, if you have a list of people that you send newsletters out to, your social media connections, the people that you're friends with on Facebook, the people you're connected with on LinkedIn, any other kind of connection point. If you start to kind of pull together all of those potential people that you kind of sort of have a relationship with of some sort, you can place them into the yes, yes box. And the yes, yes box is 4 quadrants that show up when you take these 2 points of data here. 1, do I know them? Can I pick them out of a lineup? Do I know who they are? And there are people there, yes, that you know, and people that you don't. I think we all have friends on social media that we don't really know, and then we have some that we do know. So, do I know them? Yes or no? That's pretty easy. And the second one is, do they know me? Because there are people who know who you are, and then there are people who don't know who you are because you're their friend on Facebook that they don't know. So that's possible. And the yes, yes box is here. Uh, the yes, yes box is what we could call your contacts. We could loosely call them your friends, but these are people that you know them, they know you. That these are the people that you would recognize in the grocery store. These are the people that you'd say hello to if you walked into a restaurant and you saw them there. These are the people that they would recognize you, you recognize them. And these are, of course, the easiest people for you to be in touch with. There's a good chance they'll take your call. Within this box, you can also, arrange them. You've got the people that, would take your call. You got the people that would help you move. You have the people that would help you move a body. And you have people that you might know them, they know you, but you really rather not stay in touch with them. So you can kind of place people further within that. But these are your contacts. This is a yes, yes box. And in terms of building relationships in your business, this is a great place to start. This is easy. This is easy stuff. And on the other, the flip side, we got the no-no box, which is you don't know them and they don't know you. And this is the hardest place to make connections with people. Uh, this is the hardest place to find clients. And what I've noticed is that for a lot of people, when they think about sales and marketing, they go immediately to the no-no box. And we'll talk about a bit about this in a second, about what kind of activities are involved here. But often when we think about marketing, we immediately go to, how do I get myself in front of people who have no clue who I am and I have no clue who they are. And this is really more of that numbers and transaction kind of look at business. Starbucks needs to get in front of strangers. Walmart needs to get in front of strangers. Big businesses that do transactions need to get in front of strangers. Like, that's the life comes from, how do I get in front of strangers? And our piece of insight today is, how do you stay in touch with friends? Now, there's 2 more quadrants here. So there are, in terms of like kind of the order, there are also people who know you and you don't know them. These are, people in an email list that you have, or a group, or people who connected with you on Facebook or LinkedIn for some reason. Maybe they like you, maybe they've read something. As soon as you start doing content marketing, if you show up and do a show like Georgie and I are doing, if you publish something on the internet, if you write a blog post, if you're active on social media, if you speak at events, you could go and speak to it. I've had this experience. I go and speak at an event. I'm at the front of the room for an hour talking about stuff. If there's 100 people in the audience, I don't know all of them, but they've had an hour of listening to me, so they feel like they know me. I wrote a blog a few years back, and it was really weird running into people that had read my blog. They really felt like they knew me, but I didn't know them. So we could call these people fans. because we've got an F theme going on here. But these are people that know you, but you don't necessarily know them. So this is kind of the second easiest quadrant of people to reach out to. Is to, take a look at your list, take a look at your Facebook friends and go, hey, I see that we're friends. I really don't know you. Would you like to connect, right? So this is kind of the second easiest because they already know who you are. So you're not a stranger showing up to say something to them. And then this third one we call, you know them, but they don't know you. So these might be the people that you follow, and we could call these famous people. These could be the newsletters you subscribe to, the writers you like to read, the celebrities that you follow. When you think about, peers in your industry that are doing better than you, perhaps it's like, okay, who in every industry we have our celebrities. It's kind of like a pyramid industry. They're not celebrities like rock stars, but within whatever your industry is, they're the celebrity there. And you got some fairly well-known people underneath that. It's like these could be the people that you follow and admire. They could be people that you might want to connect with at some point, and these are your famous people. So at least you know of them, you know something about them, you've got some information for which that you could connect with them over. So as I mentioned, we have this kind of thinking about marketing as the no-no box. And it's, if you ever heard this statement about low-hanging fruit, it's like the yes box are like the apples on the tree that you can reach. It's like these are the easy ones. And when you think about the no-no box, it all of a sudden it becomes, okay, how do I get those apples way up there at the top of the tree? Now I'm going to need safety harnesses and scaffolding and fancy equipment, and it's going to be maybe a little bit dangerous, a little risky, a little scary to go right up to the top of the tree to get those apples. And then circling right back to the beginning of this presentation, when you go okay, how many apples do I need? If you need thousands of apples, you might have to go right up to the top of the tree. But if you need a dozen, you probably just reach up and grab them. So when we talk about low hanging fruit, that's that's what the yes box is about. It's like, okay, what's easy? Here's the easy stuff is in that quadrant. So when you look at your friends, this is like about keeping in touch with people. It's looking at the contact list, people and people who know you, and going through that. It's like, okay, who in this list would be a good connection for me? This is going to include things like your clients, clients you've worked with in the past. And this is where the repeat business comes from. This is where referrals can come from. Who are the people in your yes list that could be good networking connections with you, who could give you referrals? Invest your time and energy in staying in touch with those people. Low-hanging fruit, easy, not intimidating, not freaky and scary. And then your fans. When in the program Georgie and I run, it's built on two things. It's built on relationships and content marketing, sharing your expertise. It's basically build relationships with people, share your expertise, build your, when you put content out there, you'll attract people. It'll get in front of people that have never heard of you before, and then they will have heard of you. And for these people, this is where the nurturing comes in. You can invite them to have a conversation with you. In our world, you can invite them to have an assessment. You can invite them to come to an event. You can invite them to have a connection, getting to know you call. You can continue to send information to them, and future business can come of that. Your future clients will probably become fans first, or they'll get a referral from somebody else, and they'll come in, they'll take a look at your website and what you're doing, take a look at your social media, see what you're posting, see what you're about, and get to know you first before they take that risk of getting in touch with you. So that's the second place. And the third place here, famous people could potentially become future referral partners could be good connections for your business. And there's an opportunity to engage them because you know something about them. And we have Bob Berg showing up next week because Georgie loves to engage with famous people. And I think part of her magic is she doesn't see them as famous people that are way above you, but just interesting people that would be awesome to get in touch with. So that's another place to potentially build business relationships, and especially if you are in that kind of I want to fill an arena, have an enormous number of people kind of transactional. That's really where you're going, is you're going to be wanting to find who else has an enormous number of people, and how do I get in front of their enormous number of people, and then they can get in front of my enormous number of people. Then it's kind of alliances, and when you see alliances and summits and cross promotions and stuff like that, then that becomes the relationships that are important to your business. It's like, who else is getting in front of a bunch of people so I can get in front of a bunch of people, and get in front of their people. And then finally, we look at in the no-no box, we've got all the shit that nobody wants to do. Cold calling, cold outreach, bothering strangers, paying a lot of money for advertising that nobody clicks on or buys from, that kind of thing. So there you have it. There's the yes box, and figuring out, okay, what kind of marketing is truly going to be effective, and looking for that green light here, that there may be some might be easier maybe than you think it is. So thus concludes my presentation. Do we have comments? Do we have
Sorry, I'm just unmuting myself. Okay, let's see what we've got. We do have comments throughout your presentation. We
okay.
have some hellos on Facebook as well, which is good, which is awesome. Someone wants to know if you keep up the last slide.
Can I keep up the last slide? Yes.
So I'm assuming that's not the dog.
There's the last slide. You're coming soon, doggy. We do have stuff coming soon.
Yes.
We'll do that in a moment.
But yeah, a lot of great comments about just really loving the descriptions, making it so simple and clear, and how helpful these quadrants can be, and seeing how it relates to sort of spending your limited time and energy on your relationships. Yeah, it's really good. Oh, here's a question for you. How do you still have meaningful relationships when your network grows to 10,000 plus people?
Well, that would be a question, wouldn't it? And I would suggest...
You can take down that slide now too if you want.
Great, because I'm going to go right back to this. And this would say that you can't. I think that is the reality. There isn't a meaningful relationship there. There is an opportunity to maybe inspire or to influence, to say something meaningful. Like you can say something meaningful and have people learn from it, but it's one-sided. It's really, if you've got 10,000 fans, right? And here's the difference too, right? If you want to look at that as fans, right? They know you and you don't know them. Those are people that signed up because they wanted to. They follow you because they want to listen to you. Like, there's a lot of stuff out there that will allow you to claim you have 10,000 relationships or 1 million views of your YouTube video or something like that. You can pay for that stuff. You can create lists of 10,000 people that don't really care about you because they signed up to win a free iPad. Like, that's not the same thing. Like, there is no, like, in that case, they're not even fans. They're just pretending numbers so that your ego feels good. But if you got 10,000 people hanging on your every word, reading your newsletter, sharing it with their friends or whatever, you've got kind of a one-sided relationship going on there where you can provide information and value to people. And it's like Bob Berg that we're interviewing next week. had something like 1 million people read his Go Giver book. And I'm like, that's pretty impressive. Like, he's making a huge difference in a lot of people's lives, and a lot of people can feel like they know him. I've been watching his videos, and it's like, I feel like I know the guy. I would recognize him in the grocery store, but he wouldn't recognize me. Um, it's kind of, it feels like a relationship to me, but it's not really. Um, and you can do that. That you can do that, but I don't think you can really mess too much with Dunbar's number. And I think that woman who was maintaining 1,000 relationships, I think she was really pushing the limit. That's that's what uh, that's what I think.
Yeah, I think I like what you said about it's kind of like it is very much a one-sided relationship, because I think we can all think about people that we follow or that we know, and we are inspired by them, and let's maybe it's the things that they write or the things that they post, they have a really huge impact for us, but they don't really know us. And there's a comment here in the chat that's, I watch Gary Vee, who has many, many people following him, and they join in his Tea with Gary Vee show, and he has them come on and ask questions, and they totally feel he cares about them. It's amazing. And he exudes caring for them, but that is the exception. And I would say in that, I think that's still I wouldn't consider that a meaningful relationship. And I'm sure that he does absolutely care about them in that moment. But with all of those people, the odds of him actually remembering all of those people that come on 2 days from that time that he was there, it's actually probably pretty small. And I'm sure the person who was in the conversation with him, they feel like they have a relationship with him because the question was answered and it was, a thing for them. But I wouldn't consider that, again, like a meaningful relationship. I think that is, like we were talking about, kind of that one-sided thing. So you could still talk to a number of these people, of these 10,000 or whatever it is, but I think it's still, I wouldn't classify that as a meaningful relationship, more of that one-sided kind of thing, but definitely impactful for the person who's actually getting there, 3 or 5, 10 minutes with him, for sure. Let's see, yeah. I facilitate several courses a week with an average of 20 participants. A month later, I may remember their face, but not their name.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
they may have had a profound experience in your classroom. Because
Yeah.
it's very one-sided, and um, I feel that too. Even workshops that I've done or speaking events. It's unless there's a sustained contact, that's exactly what happens. They may remember you,
Yeah.
but you're not going to remember them.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense, Georgie. And I still remember you after taking our 3-day workshop. Yes. Yes. And I would say that we do have a meaningful relationship. Yeah.
They remember.
Because there is that ongoing. Yeah.
They may remember me and say hi to me months later. Sometimes it can feel embarrassing. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, right? And it's weird. It's really weird. I've had people come and introduce themselves to me after I've spoken at an event or something like that, and they're like, I've been reading your blog, and like they seem to know a lot about me, and I'm like, have we ever met? And it's like, and it's
Yeah.
possible that they saw me speak somewhere else or something like that. And it's like, I don't do a lot of speaking, but enough that there are people who know me and I don't know them, and it is a little weird, but it feels it feels very much like a relationship to the people that are in the room or who are on the receiving end of a newsletter. And I know, like, the news, like, I subscribe to a lot of newsletters, I read a lot of books, and there are people that I follow that I really feel like I have a relationship with. They haven't a clue who I am, but I feel like I know them because of how that works.
So true. Okay, how do we still grow our networks in a meaningful way as an introvert, as it needs the skill of an extrovert in order to connect with more people?
Yeah,
I
just
love
pull
this
a
question.
Byron Katie here and say, is that true?
Yeah.
I think there's two things to inquire into here. One being whether you need the skills of an extrovert to build relationships, um, to which I would say, I don't think that's true. As an introvert, I've managed to build relationships. Um, and the second thing would be about the size of your list, and how many people you have. And then this really goes back to what kind of a business are you building? What's a good fit for you in terms of a U-shaped business? Do you, um, are you built to be a Tony Robbins and speak to arenas? Or are you built to be a counselor who sees clients on a weekly basis for years, um, you know, working in a very impactful and profound way on a smaller level. One needs an enormous list or attracts an enormous list, and the other one can be super small, and very, very introvert friendly.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think the extrovert skills, when we think about, growing our networks and reaching out to people, we think the extrovert skill is that ability to maybe reach out to a stranger or go into a group of people we don't know. And it's possible that's an extrovert skill, but I also think that's a people skill, like we can say, we all have the ability to say hello to people. We do it all the time. And then I think actually the way to grow our networks in meaningful way is really through introvert skills, and the introvert skill of really being able to listen, because listening is one of the best skills you can learn or develop if you really want to build meaningful relationships with people. Because especially in this day and age, so many people are talking, but not a lot of people are listening. And as humans, we want to feel seen, heard, and valued. And that comes through listening. Through listening, we can then ask great questions. And through asking great questions, people continue to speak to us, which starts to really nurture that relationship. And then the more we learn about the person in front of us, the more we care about them, the deeper that can go. So I get that it's that extrovert thing of how can I build up the courage, kind of to make that first call or to talk about what I'm doing. We had this conversation yesterday too, right? About inviting people to take my assessment or invite them to the things that we're doing. I think often we think about that as an extrovert skill, but for me, I really believe if you develop that piece of listening, you will hear the opportunity. It will seem so natural to be able to do that because you actually care about the person in front of you. You're really there to provide value and to help them. So it's an interesting thing, this kind of introvert extrovert thing. And we've talked about this before, where we often think extroverts are the best salespeople, and I'm not sure that's true. I believe that introverts actually make better salespeople, better connectors, better relationship builders, because we're a little more quiet, because we listen a little bit better quite often. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
my 2 cents on that.
absolutely. And it's just, even when I think about, networking events like speed networking and networking events that have hundreds of people attend and stuff like that. And it's just like, that's really hard to build any kind of a meaningful relationship. You can collect a lot of cards. You could get a lot of people to connect with you on LinkedIn or something like that. But there's the meaningful relationships, like that Dunbar number kind of relationship, that comes from
Mm.
repeated contact with people. It comes from getting to know them. Like that, those are like the real relationships, like that back and forth, getting to know them. And that is absolutely introvert territory. Um, and yeah,
Yeah.
Bob Berg, uh, there's a guy that, I don't know, he appears to be extroverted, but he's sure got a lot of introvert friendly advice for relationships, all about listening. So
Yeah. Can you restate Dunbar's number?
yeah, Dunbar's number, roughly 150.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's meaningful relationships, right?
And
Like, yeah.
yes, exactly. So I think those are the ones they often, like you'll see in large companies, they say once they get, Simon talks about this with the work that he does, often when a company grows beyond 150, it's where you'll start to see a split if you're not really careful in nurturing what's going on, because you just can't have those meaningful relationships beyond kind of that 150 sort of number, which is
Yeah.
why with what he would say it's important, right, to have like your culture, your values, your why, where everybody's on board, because you just can't be that close to when you start to grow bigger than that.
Yeah.
um, yeah. Oh geez, just had a flashback to a speed networking that a career center that I worked for held. Eek, it was awful. Those kind of things feel pressure for me. I just like a minute. I don't know. A minute is I need a minute just to kind of so ask my question. You know, I like a little more. I like a little more time. I feel tense when there's not time
I think too, this
for
all
me.
kind of comes into shortcuts. Like
Yeah.
speed networking is an attempt to shortcut. Um,
Yeah.
it, it's not relationship building. I mean, it could be really quick triage. I guess you could go to a speed networking event and speed network your way through 100 people so that you could triage the 3 that you want to follow up with and actually have a conversation with. Um, but the event itself, um, collecting a bunch of cards kind of stuff, not overly helpful. It's the same as, building big lists and shortcuts to build big lists. I'm like, I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
A networking event once and somebody says, oh, got this great idea. I got 10,000 people on my list. And it's like, and everyone wants to know how. And it's like they rigged up this technical system where people could enter their name and email address for a chance to win an iPad. And the thing kind of went viral, and they had 10,000 people sign up to an email list to win a free iPad. And it's like, what is the point of that? You got 10,000 people who want a free iPad. Like, what does that, how is that going to help your business at all? But people get excited about the numbers.
Exactly.
It's a numbers game. And that's a very transactional way of looking at things. If you have a local gas station, that might be helpful. You could send 10,000 people a coupon to come to the gas station. You might be able to, there's a good chance most of those people need gas, or most of those people, need food. But if you're selling coaching, it's not going to work so well.
Yeah, I think it goes back to that, really asking yourself, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Because often I think we hear information, it sounds great, but we don't take that time to kind of inquire and ask ourselves questions of, why am I actually doing this? Is this going to be beneficial to me? What's my purpose for wanting to do this? You know, it's about using that thing between our ears sometimes that we forget about is there. And thinking for ourselves, right? Who am I? What's going to work for me? What's the business that I have? This information coming in, is it actually valid for me? Could still be really valid information, but maybe just not for me. And I think that's why you hear us say all the time, don't take what we say as truth and as law. Like, question it. See, does it work for you? Does it not work for you? Does it fit with who you are and where you're at? I think that's the point of kind of having conversations too, and dialoguing with people, is to take what works, ditch what doesn't, and know who you are, what you stand for, and where you want to go with where you are right now. Super important.
Yeah, it is. And then you can evaluate advice based on your own personal context. It's what's absolutely
Exactly.
phenomenal, awesome advice for one group of people. It can be like really crap advice for somebody else. So it's really important. Like Georgie just said, it's like, does this meet my goals? I'm seeing a comment in chat right now. Does it work for me at this time? Where are you at in your business? Are you just starting out? Tony Robbins started out talking to whoever would listen to him. He was doing 3 presentations a day. He was not talking to arenas. It's like you grow. It's like, you start out as a little acorn and you can grow into the mighty oak. But where are you at in your business right now? Does this make sense for you? What are you going to grow into, and where do you want to go? And what makes sense for you at that level? And this relationship building, by the way, works for all levels. Really.
Exactly.
You know, when you look at the people who have enormous followings, they have relationships, not necessarily with their followers or the people who buy from them, but they have relationships with other people who can help to promote them, who support them, who coach them, who work with them, who provide guidance and advice and insight. They have, like, their Dunbar relationships are not with the people they serve in their business so much, but with the people who help them and support them to grow that business. Like, it's still relationships. Like, it's always it's just relationships. Like,
Always relationships. Yeah.
it's kind of everything.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Do you want to share what's coming up? What we've got coming up soon?
I was just thinking that I should do that so we can get everybody excited about next week.
Exactly.
All right. Next week, same bat time, same bat channel, we've got Bob Berg. He's the author of The Go-Giver. He is the know, like, and trust guy. If you've heard this saying about all things being equal, people do business with and refer business to people they know, like, and trust. That's the dude. This is our famous person interview next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Bring your friends. This is most of the time when we do our show, it's for, you know, self-employed people, primarily coaches, consultants, service providers, that sort of thing. This Bob Berg interview is sort of an exception. I can't think of a business that wouldn't benefit from hearing from what Bob Berg has to say. So it's not just for our usual crowd. So if you know people who do business with people, this could be really, really awesome. And he's super introvert friendly. Beyond that, September 12th, if you're like, this Yes Box stuff is great, and I don't know what to say to those people, you might want to take a look at our September 12th workshop, which is Relationship Marketing Intensive with Georgie, the expert on talking to people. In the workshop, making a plan for people to talk to, developing little scriptlets for what to say. Bring your challenging relationship building questions where you get stuck, and Georgie will unstick you. And this is about getting it done, feeling prepared, getting some feedback, maybe a little chance to practice. But it's all about, this is the, roll up your sleeves, how to deep dive into doing this. And new, hot off the presses, October 3rd and 4th, we are doing something completely new, completely different, and this one's going to be fun. So this is the U-shaped Business Discovery weekend, and if you're like, I wonder what business fits for me, we're going to take a look at who you are and what you really, really, really want about values and personality and what kind of business would fit you best. And I've been working on this thing about your business personality and choosing the right business model for you. And Georgie was drawing that with her fingers at her coffee meeting yesterday as well. And so I'll be introducing that 6 different shapes for a U-shaped business and which one would be the right fit for you. So we've got that. That's the coming soon stuff. And it's all on the website, uShapeBusiness.com.
One of the things I'll share in the September 12th workshop that we do, because since we've announced this Bob Berg thing, it's kind of funny because people are like, how'd you get Bob Berg? How'd you get Bob Berg? And I'm like, ask. But I get people want a little more than that ask answer. So I'll share more of that on the 12th as well. Yeah. But honestly, there is no magic to it, really. It's what we talk about. It's relationship. It's being a human. It's talking to people. So super exciting stuff coming up.
Yes.
All right. I think that's a wrap. 10:27. You get 2 minutes for any other final questions, thoughts. If not, we're wrapping it up, and we will see you all hopefully next week with Bob Berg.
Yes.
So yeah.
So have a fantastic week between now and then. Long weekend.
Woohoo!
Like it means anything.
And it's September, which is my birthday month, so it's the best month in the whole year. Woohoo!
All right.
There'll be lots of cake.
Excellent. All righty. We will see you back here next week. Same bat time.
Same bat channel.
All right.
Okay.
Bye
Bye.
now.